Quitting the Marines, crashing in showbiz, and living in a 120-room mansion? This isn't the plot of a Hollywood blockbuster, it's the real life of Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh. The youngest child of Queen Elizabeth II has lived a life so extraordinary it puts most fiction to shame. From his unconventional career choices to his surprising skills and massive estate, Edward's journey is a royal roller coaster. Born on March 10, 1964 at Buckingham Palace, Edward Anthony Richard Louis entered the world as the Queen's youngest child. But don't let his position as the baby of the family fool you. This prince has lived a life that would make even the most adventurous among us raise an eyebrow. Edward's education was anything but ordinary. Following in the footsteps of his father and older brothers, he attended Gordonstoun School in Scotland. Now, Gordonstoun isn't your average prep school. It's known for its rigorous outdoor program and emphasis on character building. Imagine waking up at the crack of dawn for a cold shower, followed by a run around the school grounds, in the Scottish weather no less. This tough environment helped shape Edward's resilience and adventurous spirit. After finishing at Gordonstoun, Edward didn't immediately rush off to university like many of his peers. Instead, he took a gap year that would make most of us green with envy. He packed his bags and jetted off to New Zealand, where he worked as a house tutor and junior master at Wanganui Collegiate School. A young prince, thousands of miles from home, teaching Kiwi students and soaking up the culture. After his New Zealand escapade, Edward returned to the UK and enrolled at Jesus College, Cambridge. He studied history and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1986. But here's where things get really interesting. Most royals follow a pretty predictable path after university, military service, marriage, royal duties, but not Edward. Oh no, he had different plans. In a move that shocked many, Edward joined the Royal Marines after graduation. Now, the Royal Marines are no joke. They're one of the world's most elite fighting forces. But here's the kicker. Edward dropped out of the grueling commando course after completing just 1/3 of the 12-month training. But Edward wasn't done surprising us. Instead of retreating to a quiet life of royal duties, he made a complete 180 and dove headfirst into the entertainment industry. He started working for Andrew Lloyd Webber's really useful theater company as a production assistant, a prince fresh out of his military mishap, now running around backstage at shows like The Phantom of the Opera and Cats. It's like something out of a sitcom, isn't it? But Edward's entertainment career reached its peak, or perhaps its nadir, depending on how you look at it, with the infamous It's a Royal Knockout TV show in 1987. This bizarre spectacle featured Edward and other royals competing in slapstick games dressed in medieval costumes. It was meant to be a fun charity event, but it ended up being a PR disaster. The sight of royals prancing around in silly outfits didn't exactly enhance the dignity of the monarchy. You'd think after that debacle, Edward might have called it quits on his showbiz dreams. But no, Prince was just getting started. In 1993, he founded his own television production company, Ardent Productions. Now, starting your own business is impressive, but remember, this is a prince we're talking about. Ardent Productions wasn't exactly a roaring success. The company was criticized for using Edward's royal connections for financial gain, and some industry insiders reportedly referred to it as a sad joke. Despite producing some documentaries and dramas, including one about Edward's great-uncle Edward VIII, the company reported losses every year except one, when Edward didn't take a salary. The final nail in Ardent's coffin came in 2001, when an Ardent film crew allegedly invaded Prince William's privacy while he was studying at the University of St. Andrews. In 2002, Edward finally stepped down from the company to focus on his royal duties. Ardent was voluntarily dissolved in 2009 with its assets reduced to just £40. That's less than the cost of a decent meal in London. So, after his whirlwind career in entertainment, Edward transitioned to full-time royal work. Today, he holds patronages with over 70 charities and organizations. From the National Youth Theatre to the Sport and Recreation Alliance and the British Paralympic Association, Edward's interests are as diverse as his career history. But perhaps his most significant role is continuing his father's legacy with the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme. This program focuses on personal development and community service for young people, and Edward has thrown himself into the work with gusto. He's traveled the world to promote the scheme, even playing on all 50 real tennis courts globally to raise funds for it. Now, let's talk about where this prince calls home, because it's nothing short of spectacular. Bagshot Park, Edward's residence, is an amazing mansion. We're talking 120 rooms, people. Can you imagine trying to find your keys in a place that big? But it's not just the house that's impressive. Bagshot Park sits on a 51-acre estate within Windsor Great Park. Edward's backyard is literally a royal park. The grounds include a private lake and multiple stables. It's like having your own private country retreat, but with the convenience of being just 30 miles from London. Edward shares this palatial home with his wife, Sophie Rhys-Jones, now the Duchess of Edinburgh. Their love story is pretty sweet. They met in 1987, but didn't start dating until years later. Edward proposed during a holiday in the Bahamas, as one does when one is a prince, and they tied the knot in 1999 at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. The couple has 2 children, Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor and James Mountbatten Windsor, Earl of Wessex. Despite their royal status, Edward and Sophie have tried to give their kids a relatively normal upbringing, well, as normal as you can get when you're growing up in a 120-room mansion. Now, you might think that with all his royal duties and family life, Edward would be content to take it easy in his spare time, but nope, Prince has some surprising skills and interests that might amaze you. Remember that tough Gordonstown education we talked about earlier? Well, it seems to have stuck with Edward. According to a former Balmoral gamekeeper, Edward is a really tough bloke when it comes to outdoor activities like deer stalking. The prince, known for his involvement in the arts, tramping through the Scottish Highlands tracking deer, it's not exactly the image that springs to mind when you think of a royal, is it? Speaking of the arts, Edward hasn't lost his passion for culture despite his ill-fated foray into TV production. He's a patron of Chetham's School of Music, the UK's largest music school. From deer stalking to supporting young musicians, Edward's interests are nothing if not diverse. Edward's role in the royal family is evolving in ways that might surprise you. In March 2023, King Charles III granted Edward the title of Duke of Edinburgh, a role previously held by their father, Prince Philip. This isn't just a fancy new name, it comes with increased responsibilities and a higher profile. And here's where things get really interesting. With recent health issues affecting both King Charles and the Prince of Wales, Edward might find himself stepping into an even more prominent role in the coming months.
Young people and disadvantaged young people, which is brilliant because those young people that can really benefit from this.
The prince who once seemed content to stay out of the limelight might soon find himself center stage in royal affairs. When you look at Edward's life, it's clear that he's carved out a unique position within the modern royal family. He's not afraid to try new things, even if they don't always work out. He's balanced his royal duties with his personal interests in ways that his more high-profile siblings haven't always been able to. In many ways, Edward represents a new kind of royal one who's not afraid to fail publicly, to pursue his passions, and to adapt to changing circumstances. His journey from the baby of the family to a key player in the modern monarchy is remarkable. So what do you think? Will he step into an even bigger royal role? Or does he have another surprise up his sleeve? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more royal discoveries.